Tsunade sat at her desk looking at the two girls across from her, 22-year-old Tenten and 21-year-old Sakura, and said, "Thank you both for coming in today on your day off, but I need some advice on a recent mission." Both girls looked at each other, and one said, "What do you need our advice for, Tsunade-sama?" "I mean, you are the Hokage, and we are both just jounin." Tsunade sighed and said, "Well, Tenten, you see, the reason is one that has a lot of emotional trouble attached to it, and both you and Sakura here have a little experience on the subject matter in general from your own lives, but what I don't." Sakura asked, "What do you mean, Shursho?" Tsunade said, "Let me tell you the mission specifics, and then you just tell me what you would do to make it best for everyone involved. You will understand once you hear it." "Okay." Sakura sighed and nods, as does Tenten, and Tsunade said, "All right." The details of this mission starts several years back. A female clan leader had a son who died, saving her grandson, who was the last of her clan besides her. The grandson grew up and had friends, and everything seemed normal until one day one of the grandson's best friends died. Tenten said, Tsunade, could you give us some names to go with these so we can follow the story better, since this is starting to get confusing?" Tsunade thought a moment and said, "All right, but I won't give you the real names, because it's classified. The grandmother we will call Tsunami, and the grandson we will call Inari, okay?" Sakura chuckled and said, when Tsunade looked at her, "Sorry, it's just my first C-rank mission had people named that, and the mission made me laugh at the use of their names. Please continue." Tsunade sighed and said, "Anyways, Inari had a friend named Miso, and Miso was killed. Another friend of Inari who was named Jasmine was in love with Miso, and Inari knew that she would take it hard on losing him, so he went to his grandmother Tsunami and asked her if there was any way to bring him back to life or something. Tsunami told him no, but there was a way that he could make it where a part of Miso lived on with Jasmine. Inari asked how, and since no one knew Miso was dead yet, Tsunami told him to use a henge and a certain jutsu and pretend to be Miso and sleep with Jasmine, and the jutsu would make Jasmine sick, and when she came to Tsunami, who was the only doctor in their village, to find out what's wrong, she would use some of Miso's sperm to make Jasmine pregnant." Sakura said, "Sensei, why do you want me and Tenten for advice? I mean, you know, we both have touchy feelings on the subject of children after we both lost ours. Not feeling comfortable with this subject." Tsunade sighed and said, "I know, but that is the reason I need you both, because you see, Inari did what Tsunami told him to, and she did what she said she would do and made Jasmine pregnant. Anyways, Jasmine, when she found out, was happy about having Miso child, and then by changing the date he died made her feel better when she heard he was dead and a part of him lived on. Anyways, a short time later, another friend of Inari named Ryu was killed, and he was dating another mutual friend named Ruby. Inari saw how thrilled Jasmine was over having a piece of Miso, so he asked Tsunami, who made the same deal with him again, and Ruby became pregnant as well." Tenten said, "Tsunade-sama, why would Tsunami do that? I mean, it's wrong to do it." Tsunade looked down and said, "I know, Tenten, and here is where the real problems lie of this mission. When both girls went full term, they went into labor, and Tsunami delivered each of their children, but told both Jasmine and Ruby that they lost the children." Sakura gasped and said, "Why did she do that? That's cruel." Tsunade looked down and said, "The reason she did it was because she lied to not only Ruby and Jasmine, but also Inari. You see, Inari was Tsunami's only family left in this world, and he had a hard life and never did anything for himself, always trying to make others happy even if it cost him his life or happiness. Now Inari had a condition that Tsunami kept secret from him. Inari was dying at a young age. His condition was making him age faster than others, and she knew that soon she would not be able to hide the signs from him, and then Ichi would close himself off to the world and die alone and in sadness, so what she actually did was made the jutsu that she had Inari use when he impersonated Miso, and Ryu cancelled all birth control and made the girls very fertile. He did not know it." Sakura said, "And so the two kids were actually his, instead of the guys he wanted to make the girls believe they slept with." Tsunade said, "Exactly. Tsunami had a family friend raise the children for 4 years, because one look at them and you would instantly know who their father was, which is one of the reasons she claimed they died. The other was that she was afraid that if the girls found out what she did, they would hate Inari for it and forbid him from ever seeing the children, making all this for nothing. Now after the 4 years, the time Tsunami feared came, and she could no longer hide the fact that Inari was dying. She then confessed to him about what she had done and introduced him to his daughter and son. She asked for forgiveness and told him the only reason she did it was so that he could have a little happiness in his life before he died. He was mad at her, but he could not hate her. She was the only family he ever really knew, so he said he would forgive her if she told the children's mothers the truth, and they forgave her because he knew that what he did to the girls was just as bad as what she did. He said he would not ask for forgiveness from them because he deserved none, but would ask them to look after the children when he was gone. Now Tsunade is ready to tell the girls, but she came here and asked for a way to talk to the girls and make them understand why she did it because she did not want them to hate her grandson. If they hated anyone it would be her only, so that they hopefully would help make Inari's last days pleasant. Tenten asked, so what did you need our advice for? I mean, that is a lot to take in, and I don't really understand what we could tell you, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade sighed and said, what I was thinking is you both know the loss of a child since you lost yours and Niji after he was killed on that patrol mission, and Sakura lost hers and Sasuke child after he died shortly after returning from killing his brother, so I thought that you both might be able to relate a little to the girls since you both faced similar challenges and could maybe understand the whole picture as well as not just the girls' position. Sakura thought a moment and said, it's a lot to take in, sure. I mean, Inari wanted to make both Ruby and Jasmine happy, but he faked whom he was to make them pregnant. I admit the idea was both good and bad, but he is responsible also. Tenten said, I agree mostly, but I won't hold that against him because if I had a chance to still have mine and Niji child, I don't care if I had to sleep with anyone to get it. I loved Niji that much, and to have a piece of him with me would have been worth it. Sakura looked down a moment and said, you're right. I would also, and that's what Inari tried to do for the girls, so I would not be mad at him after all. He was just as much of a victim as the girls since Tsunade lied to all of them. She should have told him sooner he was dying. Tsunade said, I thought of that also, Sakura, but if you had someone who was basically the heart and soul of their community suddenly find out he was dying, it would have destroyed not only him but everyone who were friends with him. You know, as a doctor yourself, telling someone they only have a short time to live is the hardest thing to do, especially when it's someone you care for. Sakura nods and asked, do the girls care for Inari? I mean, you said he was friends, but how close were they? Tsunade opens a scroll and read, and said, well, from what I have here it says he was beside them through everything as both mental and emotional support as well as financial when they had to stop work for a while. He would go out of his way to take care of them and see that anything they wanted was taken care of. Even after the birth loss, he still stayed by them as a very close friend, but he never told them the truth because he did not want to tarnish the memory the girls had of the ones they did love. Tenten sighed and said, sounds almost like Naruto has Sakura. I mean, he was there when we lost ours, but we never went full term. If he pulled a stunt like that with me, I might be mad at first, but I would forgive him. Sakura snickered and said, that would be funny. Imagine Naruto able to not only trick both you and me with a henge. Not with his skills, I mean he's good and all, but with his chakra signature it makes him stand out like a light bulb at night. But yeah, I agree. The more I think about it, I don't blame the guy for wanting to make the girls happy, and if they were as close as it said, then the girls probably care for him also and will miss him as well. Tsunade smiled and said, I am glad you both can see this from every angle. Would you mind just talking to Jasmine and Ruby for a few minutes before I bring them and Tsunade together to explain everything to see if you think the truth would be the right thing to do? I mean, this could turn into one big disaster where everyone including the children will be hurt. Sakura said, I don't mind, I guess, but I want pay for wasting my day off. Saying jokingly. Tsunade mocked hurt and said, all right, what about you, Tenten? Are you willing to talk to them? Tenten took a deep breath and sighed before saying, all right, Tsunade-sama. I will do this for you, but I don't want to talk about this again. It's too sensitive. Tsunade nods and said, all right, both girls are in guest waiting room 2, over there. Pointing toward the 3 doors on the right side of the room. Sakura and Tenten got up and walked to the door and opened it and blinked, and Sakura said, sure, I think you got the wrong room because the only thing here is a mirror. Tsunade said, no, that's the right room, look closer and you will see them. As she looked down. Sakura looked again but only saw the mirror with her and Tenten, and she blinked before her eyes got wide and she grabbed the door frame and said, Tenten, are you thinking what I am thinking? In a shaky voice. Tenten, who was against the door, nodded slowly, and both girls turned and walked back into the room, and Tsunade said, I am sorry. As she looked down. Sakura said, but we never went full term. We only went 5 months each. Tsunade sighed and said, I know. It's the same reason he's dying. The fox's chakra sped up the time it took for them to mature, so instead of 9 months, you both went 5 months. Sakura sat down pale and said, so Naruto is. Tsunade nodded sadly, and said, you know his healing factor, right? How it does not heal, but regenerates. The human body can only do that so many times before it starts breaking down, and with all the times it's healed him in his life, it's caused his cells to start dying. He may have anywhere from a week to 10 years at most. That's why I had to make him resign his shinobi status when I told him. He's become a liability to anyone on a mission with him now. His dream and career are over now, and all he has left is what I tricked him into getting from you both. He has a son and a daughter who he just met yesterday for the first time. I have had Shizen raise them secretly. Please don't hate him. Hate me if you have to, but please don't hate him. He only wanted you both to be happy after Sasuke and Neji's death. I never had a child of my own, and Naruto was the closest I ever had to one, and with the way he always made everyone else happy, I had to do something for him since I knew I would be the one to take his dream and life away. As she burst out into tears looking down. Tenten and Sakura both looked at her. The woman they both grew up respecting, who was the reason they became what they have, was also the woman who not only arranged for them to get pregnant through a lie, but also hid their children from them. Tenten asked, which one is mine? Wanting to find out about the children. Tsunade, said the boy. He looks like you, but both him and his sister have their father's eyes and their mother's looks, but they both have his smile also. Sakura got up and walked to the window, and after a moment asked, where are they? Tsunade said, my family compound. I moved Naruto things there so he could spend the rest of his days with them. Tenten asked, what are their names? Tsunade said, I named them both the names you and Sakura had chosen when you were pregnant. The boy is named Tanzu, meaning forging, and the girl is named Tsubaki, meaning camellia flower. Sakura asked, will what's happening to Naruto happen to them? I mean, will they die young? Quietly. Tsunade sighed and said, no, from what I can tell, the only traces of the Kyuubi had on them was speed up their birthing time. Any wounds they have heal normal, their chakra is pure and none of its chakra can be found anywhere. I was worried about that also, but it looks like they're perfect healthy children. Tenten said, I want to see him. I want to see my son. Tsunade nods and said, all right, I will take you both, and if you don't want to face Naruto right now, I will take him away so you can see them by yourself. Both girls nod slowly, not thinking of Naruto right now but want to see their children. They get up and leave the tower with Tsunade. On the way, Sakura asked, how long has Naruto known about his condition? Tsunade said, remember the mission 4 months ago? He went on to Suno where he escorted me to see Gaara. Remember how he passed out and you called him an idiot for forgetting to drink water? The truth was his metabolism was beginning to shut down, so I had to tell him then. That's why I've been letting him go off to do things on his own with no missions involved. I told the children to get them ready to meet him in the meantime and told them the truth about not only him but you both as well. They've been asking to meet you both. As she looked down. When they get to Tsunade house, they went into the backyard where it was surrounded by a huge hedge that led into a beautiful garden. Suddenly music could be heard ending and a boy's voice said, Dad, when Granny Tsunade told you about you dying, what did you do? All 3 women stopped and listened before they were seen, and Naruto said, well, and he started to play his guitar again and sing. I was in my early 20s. With a lot of life before me. And a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the sun's rays. And talking about the options and talking about sweet time. I asked Tsunade when it sank in. That this might really be the real end? And she asked, how's it hit you when you get that kind of news? Man, what ya do? And I said, I will go fan flying, I want Hokage mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a drunk frog named Gambunta. And I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter. And I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And I said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. A few strums of the guitar and all 3 women closed their eyes, continue listening. I said I was finally the father. That most the time I wasn't. And I became a friend would like to have. And all of a sudden goin' fishin'. Wasn't such an imposition. And I went 3 times this week and you both beat me bad. Well, I finally read the cookbook. And I took a good long hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all again. And then. And I said I went fan flying, I went Hokage mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a drunk frog named Gambunta. And I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter. And I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And I said someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dyin'. Like tomorrow was a gift. And you got eternity to think about what you'd do with it. And what did you do with it? And what can I do with it? And what would I do with it? I went fan flying, I went Hokage mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a drunk frog named Gambunta. And I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter. And I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And I said someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dyin'. 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 And as the music finished, the kids started clapping and said that was awesome, Dad. Naruto smiled and said thanks both of you. I love you and I am sorry I have not been here before, but I will be here every moment I can. It's a promise. A promise of a lifetime. Sakura could not take it and she started to run and Tenten was a few steps behind her. Naruto turned when he heard someone approaching fast and he let the smile he had on his face go away as he saw both girls running toward him and he looked down waiting for the punishment he expected. Suddenly he was hit and flew back against the tree he was sitting under and then he felt someone hit him on the other side also, but the hits were not hard or hurtful but the kind where someone embraced you into a hug, and the sound of tears falling reached his ears and he opened his eyes and saw Sakura on his right crying into his chest and Tenten on his left also crying, and then he saw his kids looking confused. He smiled a real smile and said, Tsubaki Tanzu, I would like to introduce you to your mothers. This is Tenten and Sakura. Motioning with his head to each woman as he said their names. The kids looked at the woman and then glomped them in a big hug like Sakura and Tenten did Naruto a moment earlier, making both women stop crying. They let go of Naruto and turned to the child holding them, and Naruto slowly stood up picking his guitar up and began to walk away. Sakura saw this and looked to Tenten and they understood each other and said, where are you going, Naruto? Shouldn't you stay? After all, this is a family meeting. Naruto stiffened when he heard his name and listened and slowly turned and said, but as he tried to find the right words. Tenten said, we got some things to discuss later after the kids go to sleep, but we are a family right now and you are just as much as we are, so get your blonde butt back here and play us another song. Naruto smiled and sat down again against the tree, and the Sakura sat on his left holding her daughter and Tenten on the right holding her son, and he started to play again and he sang, every breath you take. And every move you make. Every bond you break, every step you take. I'll be watching you. He smiled looking into their eyes one by one. Every single day. And every word you say. Every game you play, every night you stay. I'll be watching you. He looked into each of their eyes, conveying the words he never could speak. Oh, can't you see? You belong to me? How my poor heart aches. With every step you take. Every move you make. Every vow you break. Every smile you fake, every claim you stake. I'll be watching you. He winced a little but kept on playing. Since you've gone, I've been lost without a trace. I dream at night, I can only see your face. I look around but it's you I can't replace. I feel so cold and I long for your embrace. I keep crying, baby baby please. He closed his eyes as he continued to sing. Oh, can't you see? You belong to me? How my poor heart aches. With every step you take. Every move you make. Every vow you break. Every smile you fake, every claim you stake. I'll be watching you. Every move you make, every step you take. I'll be watching you. He let a tear fall down his face. I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you. I'll always love you. And slowly the guitar slid out of his hand as his head fell forward slowly. Sakura screamed Naruto. As she jumped up as fast as possible to get to him and push him backwards as she started to let her hand glow green with chakra checking him out. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and saw Tenten Sakura and the children all worried about him, and he said, "Remember, I will be watching you." As he smiled on last time, closing his eyes, and at that moment it began to rain. A slow soft rain covered the field as if the heavens themselves were crying. Tsunade, who was away from them, let a tear fall from her face and said, "Goodbye Naruto, you will always be like the grandson I never had." As she burst into tears. Sakura and Tenten both started to cry and the kids did also started to cry, and then the sky let a little ray of sun come down on them as it stopped raining, and Tanza said, "Look, Dad," smiling. Making everyone look at him, and Tenten said, "You're right, he is." As she smiled feeling the sun fall on them in the break from the small shower, and Sakura said, "Come on kids, let's get you inside and dried off," and Shizen, who saw everything, said, "I will take care of the rest. Just take care of the kids." As she smiled sadly and walked to Naruto body. Sakura stood up, picked her son up, and suddenly Naruto body started to glow red with Kyuubi chakra and Naruto eyes burst open and he said, "Damn humans, I hate you all." And Naruto was surrounded by a white glow as his body lifted off the ground and floated in the air a moment and slowly fell back to earth, and Naruto coughed as everyone ran over to him and he slowly opened his eyes and said, "Am I in heaven?" Tsunade, Sakura and Shizen all began running medical scans on him, and Tsunade said, "How?" As she checked Naruto body and found that all of Kyuubi chakra was gone and his cells were that of any normal human. She looked at the others who also seemed confused, and Naruto asked, "So, am I going to die again?" Tsunade said, "No, I don't know how, but you're alive again, but you won't ever be able to use chakra again. Whatever happened completely destroyed your entire chakra network, making it that of a civilian." Naruto looked at the smiling faces of the kids and said, "If it means I can see you all again, then I can live with that." The kids screamed, "Dad!" and hugged him, and Sakura smiled as she stepped backwards and stood by Tenten and said, "So?" Tenten said, "Yeah, what should we do?" Sakura said, "I think we should live life like we were dying, just as he said. Live a life with no regrets, and spend it with our family. I may not have liked the idea at first, but after losing him and getting him back, I don't want to lose him again." Tenten said, "I know. I feel the same. He's been there for us for most of the last few years, and I don't want to lose him either, so." Sakura said, "Yeah." Understanding the unasked question. Naruto looked up at Sakura and Tenten with a scared look on his face, and Sakura snickered and said, "Get that look off your face, Naruto. Your face will get stuck that way. We got a lot of things to discuss, like where we are all going to stay and how we can live and stuff, but every family has to do that." Naruto blinked and Tsubaki said, "You mean Mom that?" Tenten said, "Yes, we're all going to become a family." Naruto burst into tears of joy, and Tsunade smiled and said, "Well, I am happy for you all, and I also have some good news. Naruto, I am officially naming you my heir, and so that means with the money you already have from your parents, and what my family has saved up, you and them can all live here as a family for the rest of your lives and never have to worry about anything financially again. That's if you all accept." Naruto looked at Sakura and Tenten and they both nodded, and he said, "We accept." Tsunade smiled and asked, "So I have one last question. Will there be any wedding bells in the future or what?" Naruto blushed and Sakura snickered and elbowed Tenten, who said, "You damn well know there is, and don't think you're getting off the hook that easy, Tsunade-sama. After all, you're going to have to babysit while we have a honeymoon and see what Naruto really looks like." Naruto looked sheepish as Sakura and Tenten laughed while the kids looked confused. Tsubaki said, "Dad, are Mom and Mom perverts?" Sakura and Tenten both stopped laughing and Naruto said, "No, they're angels." Causing both women to blush. Naruto hugged his kids one more time before standing up slowly and walking over to both women and said, "Look about what happened, I am." He was cut off by Sakura kissing him, and then when she let go, Tenten kissed him and Sakura said, "Shut up, you sound like an idiot." Making everyone laugh. Tsunade looked up at the sky and thought, "So a happy ending happened by living like you were dying. I am glad." Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There is also a link in the description to my Patreon. It has Naruto fanfiction that cannot be posted on YouTube. There is some free content on there. So, you don't have to be a paying member to enjoy listening to excellent fanfiction.